Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 272 of the Defining Discipline podcast. I am your host, Scott. It has been a long day. I had gotten my run in earlier this morning, but had to go to work, so I've not been able to get the episode until later tonight. Like I said, today is day 272 of my journey of attempting to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. Also attempting to go for 1,500 miles within this time frame. Also, while running two big races within this time frame. One of those being a 50K trail race, which I was able to finish on day 156 of this journey, and the other being a just regular marathon. Sorry guys, I kind of brain farted there. The other one just being a regular marathon, the Detroit Free Press Marathon. That is coming up on day 290. But also on day 289, I'll be running a competitive 1 mile and competitive 5K within that marathon race weekend in order to do the Motor City Challenge of the Detroit Free Press Marathon, which entails me doing all three of those races. So really looking forward to that. That is coming up sooner than later. So we can kind of talk about that here in a bit within the episode. But just wanted to put that on the radar. Like I said, today is day 272. Got out there today and put in 3.6 miles for the day. That put me at 9.5 miles for the week, which put me at 127.2 miles for the month, which put me at 1,240.2 miles for the year. Now I quickly want to focus in on these monthly miles of 127.2. Every single month I challenge myself to do a 100-mile challenge, and I do it in honor of a charity in which I donate money to, and I also start a coinciding fundraiser for that charity throughout that month. For the first 8 months, we raised money for 8 great charities. Now we're here in the month of September, the 9th month, and the 100-mile challenge for the month of September is in honor of the National Rise Syndrome Foundation. We chose that because September is Rise Syndrome Awareness Month. So if you'd like to donate to this month's fundraiser, you can find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline or Facebook, Instagram or Facebook story, or my personal page's Instagram or Facebook story. Either one of those pages, stories, either the Facebook, Instagram of the Defining Discipline or my personal pages, whichever one you decide or go to, you click on it, it'll open up the actual donation page where you make your donations. All donations that get made to this fundraiser go directly to this cause and this fundraiser. Facebook is not keeping any cut or portion of your donation, so keep that in mind. I do know times are tough though. Not everyone is able to make donations. I get that. If that is the case, and you'd still like to help out, the next best thing you could do is just click that share button, because we are trying to raise awareness for these causes throughout these months. Best way to do that is for other people to click that share button and let other people know about it. Other than that, guys, we can kind of blend and go in, or not blend, but transition and go into today's actual episode. I had been doing word of the days. I guess we can just quickly do that. Why not? What does it hurt? Just to go in. I kind of quit the last couple days, especially being in Kentucky. And then yesterday just kind of threw it out. But the word of the day today is zest. Zest means keen enjoyment or an enjoyably exciting quality. That is the word of the day today. So zest. But today's actual episode 272, today's theme is going to be pivot. And I wanted to talk about pivot first and foremost because I'm going to be making a pivot here within my training. So, most of the summer I had been doing kind of afternoon. I've been trying to do a little bit more morning runs throughout the summer, but I had been doing a lot of night runs, especially as of late. I've been doing a lot of night runs. But I do have the race coming up here. The race starts at 7 a.m. I'm not really sure about the 5K or the 1 mile race. I should probably really look into that and get all of that situated. But I do know, like I said, the actual marathon starts at 7 a.m. So I'm really trying to start transitioning to running earlier, running before work, and trying to slowly transition to running closer and closer to 7 a.m. I know I only got 2 weeks, um, but a lot of these runs aren't going to be log runs, so the main thing is just making the battle of waking up a little bit earlier um, to wake up and to actually get out there by 7 to start running. That is kind of a goal. That is a pivot that I'm going to be trying to make. Another pivot I will be making within my training is also kind of really slowing down the miles. I think this weekend, um, it being October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm thinking I may put in one good, decent long run one of those days, put in maybe a half marathon or something. Nothing too crazy, nothing over exerting too. I think I'm going to try to keep it at a slower, easy pace. Um, but after that, I will be really truly making the pivot into less miles, less of a load on my body to try to really get ready for um, this marathon. So that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about pivot today, is because I'm in this big pivot stage right now within my actual training where um, again I'm trying to focus on waking up a little bit earlier, getting that run in, as well as trying to really keep a hold of my miles here and try not to overdo it. Um, because honestly, there's a lot of days when I get out there, um, it kind of works both ways, truly. There'll be a lot of days when I get out there and I'm only putting a mile and a half, and as I'm out there, I'm really pushing myself because I want to go farther and I want to go hard and I don't want to go slow. And um, thankfully, these past few days and weeks, I've been kind of nursing a leg injury, so it's kind of held me back from really putting in truly a hard, fast effort. But I do get out there and I want to go. So, um, really trying to hold back is going to be a challenge. But again, like I said, it works kind of both ways, because there's even days when it's like, all right, I know today I got to really go hard and I really got to go far. And then, it's a real battle sometimes to even just get out there. So it definitely works both ways. Um, there are very few days. Like I'll take that back. I'm not gonna say very few days. There are quite a few days, but they're definitely limited to the amount of days where everything just kind of lines up right. Where like I said, it's not where one instance you're getting out there wanting to put in lots of miles, or expecting to put in lots of miles, but having no real motivation to do it, or the exact opposite, having way too much motivation, but really having to hold back on miles. So there are very limited days, but you can find that perfect alignment where you're just ready to go and your body is going to work perfectly in sync with each other. And I'm hoping to line one of those days up again this year. Actually, two of them in a row, day 289 and 290. I'm really hoping to pump out some good days both of those days. So, main point of that is I am within the pivot stage of that. Really trying to, again, to pivot the miles down a little bit, as well as pivot into an earlier run session for these next few weeks. And who knows, maybe falling into an earlier run session, maybe I'll fall in love with it so much that I'll finish off the year trying to do morning runs before work instead of afternoon runs after work. So we'll see how this works out. Other than that, though, let's talk about pivot again, but in a different kind of light. Pivot is in order to pivot, there's a central point that lets you pivot. You can pivot from one point to another, but there's always going to be something that a pin or something that holds you down. In basketball, when you pivot, you got one leg that's you pivot on. You can go left this way. So pivot, there's always a central point to help you pivot. And what I want to kind of think of and look at pivot as is pivoting from one point to another point. And usually what I'm trying to focus on within this podcast and me just talking is, definitely improvement and progress. So, for me, I was not in the best situation. Definitely had no aim, nowhere, nothing to look forward to, and felt like I was definitely going nowhere and nowhere fast. So a lot of that was weighing on me, but these past couple years, I was trying to find a good pivot point, something I can look forward to, something that can help me really transform my life and pivot from one situation of feeling like everything is falling apart to pivot to a situation where everything not necessarily isn't falling apart, but everything seems harmonious. Everything seems in order and right and good. Because one thing I have discovered is things are going to fall apart. Not everything's going to fall apart, but things are going to fall apart, and it's how you deal with life, how you look at life when things fall apart. That's the perspective you're going to have. But again, we're going off on a tangent here. The main note is I was trying to focus on a pivot point from being hopeless, to being having strength and direction, B. So for me, my pivot point these past few years, again, was finding some kind of responsibility and structure and some kind of goals to aim at. That was something I truly feel like I was lacking, and that was my biggest pivot point. And again, this pivot is a constant pivot. Let's be honest. I don't think I'm cured. I don't think I'm solved. I don't think I'm still completely out of I'm making that pivot, but this is almost like a three-legged pivot where, one leg is leaving, the pivot's here, my one leg is pivoted in order to pivot, but I got two more legs that are in A, and I got one leg leaving A, going into B, but one leg is still just straggling behind, just dragging its foot, dragging its toe. So for me, this pivoting from A to B, again, it's going to be a constant thing, constant working at. But again, the main thing for me was trying to set some goals and find some structure and give myself, add more responsibility, because, to give myself responsibility, I know I've had responsibility, but to really give myself more responsibility, take on more responsibility, and willingly take on the more responsibility, has truly helped me start pivoting. And I definitely can attribute a lot of that to running, and then me again having this structure of trying to make sure I get out there, especially this year, running every single day, following up with just episodes of talking, and then one thing I've kind of fallen behind on that I really want to try to work on is getting some more guests on here and actually work on that. So speaking of actually pivoting, I'm actually going to try to pivot this podcast here within the future. I have different ideas for it going on into 2022, and I'm going to make that pivot again within 2022 to have a little bit different structure and all of that. I'm going to finish this year out strong. Again, try to still get a little bit more guests on than I had normally planned, but eventually make that right pivot into 2022 and change that podcast and the platform of everything as well. So really looking forward to that and have got that in the works. But again, for me, was really getting out there and running and finding the structure and setting these goals. Not every goal's been hit, not every day. Again, I get out there, and not every day is easy or is a happy day or a great day, but the main thing was to really push through and persevere and stick into that pivot point and really push through it and start continuously make that pivot. So that's what I have been doing and been trying to do. And other than that, for your daily discipline day 272, it is to do the same. It is to find that pivot point within your life and start pivoting on it. What is it that is going to help you go from A to B within your life? Really think about in your life where you're at and what's wrong with where you're at, and maybe you could do a lot more or help out a lot more. There's just always things to be worked on, I think, individually. So what are those things that you could individually be working on that are going to help you go from A to a different person B? Like, who do you want to be, and who are you, and what is holding you back, and what can you help put in the middle of what's holding you back to help you pivot from A to B? That is your daily discipline for the day today. Other than that, guys, I want to thank you so much for following and listening along, whichever you've been doing, watching. If you guys can, please give the podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, a share on our Facebook, our TikTok, our YouTube, our Instagram, and whatever podcast streaming platform you've been following along and listening on. I don't know if I even said Facebook, but that as well. And yeah, guys, honestly, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you guys can, again, please give it a like, a subscribe. Also, get your donations in for this month's fundraiser, as well as click that share button and get as many eyes on it as possible. Other than that, this is the Defining Discipline Podcast. I'm your host, Scott. This is episode 272. I will see you guys tomorrow for episode 273. But until then, make sure you get your daily discipline done, stay disciplined, and peace out.